Anyway, let's get to the worst part of this Kamala Harris interview, which I've been avoiding for obvious reasons. It's because it's going to cause you spiritual psychic damage in the same way that it caused me spiritual and psychic damage. Let's take a look at what she had to say.
And again, the core of this is about just practical solutions, common sense solutions. I mean, that's really how I come at most of the things I work on and the things I intend to work on as president.
Yeah.
Bipartisan. Listen, I plan on having a Republican in my cabinet. You
I got a list.
Yeah, right. You asked me what's the difference between Joe Biden and me. Well, that will be one of the differences.
Ew. She's like, Madam Vice President, there's a lot of historically unpopular policies of the current administration that you're a part of, which unironically led to you now running for president in this historically relevant manner. What do you say to the voters that are looking for change? 65% of them specifically have asked for change. Oh, I'm going to be just like Biden, except I'm also going to have a Republican in my cabinet. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad.
Look, I just recently did an event with Liz Cheney, the former congresswoman.
I know.
Her father, the former vice president, Cheney, has supported me.
Unbelievable.
There are over 200.
Is it unbelievable? Cheney cared about one thing and one thing only, which was advancing the neocon agenda of lighting the entire Middle Eastern region on fire and then bringing in foreign investment into secure the natural resources, specifically oil. Like, it's not that unbelievable. The Democratic administration currently is following that agenda in ways that maybe even Dick Cheney never imagined would happen.
Former members of both Bush presidencies, John McCain, Mitt Romney, who have endorsed me, leading thinkers in the national security space.
I'm not kidding when I say, like, this is an unnecessarily close election, that she still has a chance of winning, but it does not need to be this close. And she's doing everything in her power. Her and Biden are doing everything in their power to lose this election. It is kind of shocking.
Are supporting me. And frankly, one of the things that I'm very proud of that we have done collectively is we really are building a coalition around some very fundamental issues, including that we love our country. And
Hasan, she's never mentioned the Cheneys before ever. This is a revelation and should be what moves you to vote. If not Liz Cheney, then who?
that we have to put country before party. We have to agree about the sanctity of the oath we take to defend the Constitution of the United States, to support the Constitution of the United States. And I do believe the closer we get to the election, the more that people reflect on what's at stake.
I think there's something very funny about this, by the way. Kamala Harris's support among Republicans almost doubles in the New York Times Siena poll. And you hope that this means that, like, Republicans in swing states are going to vote for her. That's not what this means at all. So, like, her support going from, I don't know, what is it, 9%? Up from 5% to 9% among Republicans who plan to vote for her does not mean that it's the Republicans in fucking Pennsylvania that are saying that they're going to vote for her. Republicans plan to back the Democratic candidate out of likely voters went from 5% up from 5% in the last New York Times Siena poll a month earlier. By contrast, just 3% of Democratic identifying voters say they will vote for Donald Trump. This doesn't, like, you're playing fast and loose and misinforming the public. The poll came with a 2.4 margin of error. Notably, Harris could win the popular vote and still lose to Trump, thanks to the Electoral College. Dick Cheney being the coalition is a very specific response to the threat of Donald Trump. Cheney is doing what a lot of my friends are doing, what I'm doing, said David Frum, another never Trump Republican. We're not going to like 80% of the domestic agenda of the Harris administration. We're going to swallow that with our eyes open. What has she presented that you don't like? But we really love the foreign policies. Frum added, I do think we're living through the moment when the parties changed who their voters are. We're seeing a certain type of voter with a lot to lose migrating into the Democratic coalition because it offers stability in a certain kind of voter with less to lose and more alienation migrating out of the Democratic coalition because they don't feel attached enough to the society and are excited by the Republican promise to take more risks with America. It's a ship that is sinking, and these guys are worried about plugging one of the smallest holes possible. You're taking Democratic voters, like regular Democratic constituencies for granted in an even worse way than the Joe Biden re-election campaign did. On Colbert, Harris drank a Miller High Life. The current and last president don't drink. She referred to her rallies. Quite a few people don't show up, by the way, and then described Trump as a loser. She added, "This is what happens when I drink beer." Wow, so cool. Kamala Harris has to make up for her lack of charisma with sound policies that actually help people. Just be like, this is where people are hurting. This is how I'm going to help them. She's doing neither. She doesn't have the charisma to push a, regular old boring neoliberal campaign. Neither did Hillary Clinton, mind you. And she also doesn't even have good policies that she can point to be like, this is what I'm going to do to help Americans that are suffering. It's just a terrible, terrible campaign. She comes across like a fucking robot every time she says the exact same words over and over again. She literally force feeds the talking point into whatever question. It's like her brain hears like keywords. It's like a fucking AI. Her brain hears keywords and goes, I prosecuted transnational gangs in a border state. We will stop the flood of migrants. Donald Trump does not care about the problem. Every time they could be like, Madam Vice President, we were asking about the United Fruit Workers Union or something. You know what I mean? Like, why are you, what?
Top issue to voters. Yeah. And as you rightly pointed out, the former president blocked the strongest border security bill in decades. Yeah. But there remains this perception among voters that the Biden administration dragged its feet and waited too long to act to address the border crisis. Can you speak to why voters may feel that way?
Sure. Well, first of all, to your point, when we first came in office, hours after we were inaugurated, the first bill we offered before infrastructure, before bringing down the cost of prescription medications, it was to fix our broken immigration system. And it never got taken up, in large part for political reasons, because solutions are at hand, and we need to fix the problem. Then, to your point, a bipartisan group of members of the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members, worked together with our support to craft the most serious and strong border security bill we've seen in years. Yes. Donald Trump got word of it and told them, don't put the bill up for a vote, because he didn't want a solution, because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. So then we had to do, in addition to what we've done since day one in trying to strengthen the...
It was crazy that when they control both the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the White House, they put up a border bill, and then I guess somehow that border bill never got brought up. Fucked up.
Border. We took further action in terms of executive action. We have seen illegal immigration reduced by half, the intake of fentanyl reduced by half. But ultimately, if we want a real fix to this, Congress has to act. We need, for example, in that bill, we would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border, which is why the Border Patrol supported it. I went down to the border.
It's so funny to keep being like, the Border Patrol supported it, when like you ask the Border Patrol now and they're like, yeah, it sucks. It's actually gay communism. They want to vaccinate all the border guards. They want to kill the Border Patrol with this bill. We don't want it. Like, they don't care. No, they did. They did support it. They did support it early on because it was a very right-wing bill. And then Donald Trump did say, nah, fuck this. Kill the bill. What are you doing? Are you kidding me? But that doesn't change the reality. That doesn't change the reality that it was a right-wing bill. And the Border Patrol is absolutely going to go along with whatever the Trump says. That's why it's a stupid decision. That's why this argument is idiotic.
And let me tell you, these border agents are working around the clock. They're trying as hard as they can. They need more resources. I have personally prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. I have taken on the cartels.
What did I tell you? That bot. As a bot. She's a bot. I'm on board with calling her robotic, but I've started to feel the same about Bernie too. I think it's just what happens when people run campaigns. No, there's a difference between messaging discipline and literally when Bernie Sanders stays on message, he is communicating actively direct policy prescriptions for problems that American people are facing. When Kamala Harris is saying, I prosecuted transnational gangs and I want to pass the most right-wing border bill, it's the wrong message that she is staying on. It's literally inauthentic. She's also using the same exact language. Like, it goes beyond messaging discipline when you basically say the exact same thing over and over again. Like you repeat it whenever something like triggers that talking point. It's the same phrases. It's the same exact message. The message is already bad too on top of that. And it's often devoid of policy, or when it has policy, it's like fucking right-wing policy. It's really bad. It makes you come across as inauthentic. Bernie Sanders stays on message, but think about the conversation that she had with Theo Vaughn. Now think about the conversation that Kamala Harris would have with Theo Vaughn. She would literally turn around and be like, I've prosecuted transnational border gangs. Like, that's insane. Just be fucking normal, dude. Address the question. It's insane. How can you not tell that after a certain point, this turns into like inauthentic pandering?